Call the meeting to order and please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, closing of the courthouse and offices to the public.
Do we need to approve the agenda first?
I don't know, do you want to approve the agenda first?
Yes, please.
Okay. Is there anything to add to the agenda?
I have nothing more to add.
Hearing none, Mr. Chair, I will move the agenda as presented to us for the special meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The closing of the courthouse.
Mr. Chairman, what's going on here is this act is not taken lightly by any means, but as this pandemic is progressing, we are noticing all around the county that more and more government buildings, government agencies, courthouses are closing their facilities to the public. Okay? They're not outright closing their facilities and sending their employees home on hiatus or anything like that. But the plan is that all around us, the only ones right now that I do not know if they're closed yet are Lyon and Redwood. But everything else around us has been closing within the last several days. Rock this morning, talked to the administrator down there, and they said they were closing today. And Nobles did theirs the following Tuesday. With this, again, as the pandemic is progressing, it's time that we take a little bit more action on this. And next phase in this my recommendation would be that we close the courthouse to the public. We've already done quite a bit of work on this, the department head level. We had a meeting on Tuesday. We've gone over our continuity of operations plan, and we developed plans for departments that some of their employees are working from home, and in concert with the IT department, getting IT equipment ready to go so they can do work from home. And this time who do we have working remotely? We have staff from the auditor's office, treasurer's office, the assessor's office, extension, highway department, recorder, VSO, conservation, and zoning and solid waste, and the soil and water conservation district. Any I've forgotten, Kathy? Okay. So we already instituted that as we were moving forward, but so much is changing, and so much we're having to do so much adapting just daily on this. There's so many, it's just moving all the time. So we're not playing catch up, we're trying to keep up with what's going on. So the next phase to keep our staff and the public safe would be to close off the building as best we can to the public. And this is not going to be a full closure. We can't do that. I had a meeting this morning with Judge Vaggart and Court Administrator Brandel, and court is required to maintain. They have things that are called high priority cases and super high priority cases that will require people, those that are charged with crimes, to come to court. So we have to make access to their buildings. So in going through all of that, we decided that, we'll have to make access to it. So the best word to use is that offices are closed to the public, but there will be exceptions. So in that essence, it's a limited closure because we do have to that. And there may be possibility that the sheriff's office obviously may have to have people visit them. But the doors will be locked. The main doors we'll be using during this closure to the public, the two glass doors up here will be the entrance to the building. So it can be secured, and those that need elevator access to courts have access to that. So that's what we'll be using. So we'll work out the details on who's going to monitor the door, who's going to come to the door to let people in. But we're going to recommend to the public that they call before they come in, see if it's something they can do online, if it actually needs to be done. There may be documents that need to be recorded in the recorder's office, those types of things. Obviously, the hospital needs to get here daily for deposits. Obviously, bills have to be paid, checks have to be sent, so we still need to maintain business. So again, to reiterate, this is not a closure to all county staff. County staff will still be working at the facility and then their respective offices as well. So the offices that would be affected would be the courthouse, the extension office, highway department office, and also EMS, so everything in this building as well, in both buildings and the annex as well. So that's the recommendation of this, and of course you have in front of you, I've developed a press release. I use that in conjunction with some other counties and tried to pick and choose some of the best words out of it. But obviously, again, this is not a total closure. Again, staff will be working here. Exceptions will be made. There will be citizen-client transactions that will require an in-person visit and will not be able to be postponed. And we're requiring that these exceptions require an appointment. Other things that have been shut down, a state driver's license testing on Thursdays has been discontinued. Driver's license renewals have been discontinued as well, and also passports have been discontinued as well. So that keeps a lot of people out of the building right away, so we won't have as much foot traffic. And we have seen a decrease in foot traffic, with the exception of the last day. Quite a few people came up to the treasurer's office to renew driver's licenses. As counties around us were closing their facilities, they were moving their business to neighboring counties. So when Nobles County closed, quite a few people moved on to Rock County. And then when Rock County closed, we started getting some more up here too. So people are starting to move around, but the best way to do it with here is just, it's time to end it. We need to follow what the CDC, the Minnesota Department of Health, the President's office is requesting: social distancing, stay home, don't travel, don't put yourselves at risk anymore for the public and also our employees as well. So that would be my recommendations, that the board approve this closure to the public with limited access until time to be determined. This is open-ended at this time. I can't give you a time when we'll be ready to come back, but we'll keep monitoring. In my own mind, I don't believe that we are to the end of this. I think we're just getting started on the pandemic in our area. I think we're a long ways away from being finished with it. That's my own opinion. But so that's the recommendation before the board right now. And I would.
Okay.
Questions, comments, we'll stand for those. If any department has wished to speak, I'd be more than welcome to have you come up too. If anybody had any comments on
it. Steve, in the actual wording of the resolution you've got in front of us, then it just says basically just declaring then the state of emergency.
Okay.
That's a difference.
Mr. Chairman, I'm on the part on the press release right now. I'm not to the declarations yet.
Declaration, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So any questions on that specifically? I'd like to take care of that item first if possible.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval.
Okay,
I would second.
any discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great. And at this time, I invite Casey, could you come up to the podium, please? Just can you give the board a little update on what's going on in the region with declarations, what's going on emergency management wise?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
to everybody. We've had a lot of meetings, conference calls this week, locally, regionally, throughout the state, even national level and whatnot. Some of the ones that have been the most helpful and that I've relayed a lot of that information to Steve and as well as the Sheriff's Office and Kathy too, is some of the other surrounding counties. We've been having our Region 5 Emergency Management Conference calls, and I mean, they've been, of course, as Steve mentioned, kind of shutting down falling like flies there too. And I think most of the other surrounding counties in the region have also declared, and that just, not that we're going to get anything out of it, but it just opens the doors for any possibilities here down in the future. They've given us some good ideas regarding some different processes and procedures that they've been implementing both on the county level as well as their sheriff's office and dispatch and emergency management, EMS and whatnot. So we've all kind of just been brainstorming there and sharing information and whatnot and tailoring it down to our needs for our counties and our populations. There's also what is called the Southwest Healthcare Preparedness Coalition, which is also a Southwest regional thing, and they've tapped into a couple caches of some personal protective equipment and supplies for healthcare facilities down there and have streamlined the process for facilities to request that, and the cash have been divided among the counties, and I'm going to either have mine delivered this afternoon, or I will go pick it up from Lincoln County, because she has gotten all my equipment and whatnot. And then the coalition also sent that out, like the request process and all the criteria that need to be met to request some of these supplies. They sent that to like the area healthcare facilities, the nursing homes as well. Us personally in EMS and emergency management, we have our own cash. I'm trying to kind of keep that within EMS and responders. So we're sharing that with, you know, the other ambulance services, the first responders if needed, the sheriff's office if needed. But otherwise, been communicating with some of the other area healthcare facilities and organizations regarding any policies and changes. I know like Good Sam has implemented some changes and whatnot, and that's affected how we're responding to calls, because they're screening the EMS personnel that come in, and they're doing it properly. They're doing a great job. I know some of the other facilities are also on lockdown for no visitors, so there's a little bit of a screening process there as well. I have some calls out to PCMC regarding transfers of any positive or presumptive positive patients, and how we would like to handle that amongst our EMS personnel. And I've been talking with the full-time staff about that as well. And then been trying to gather information and kind of break it down and make it a little more streamlined. And I don't know if any of you guys have checked out the CDC website. There's a lot of good information there, but it's a lot. And it's kind of easy to go down a rabbit hole there with too much information. So I'm kind of trying to streamline that and tailor it to our response agencies within our county and make it more pertinent and applicable to them. And then I'll be disseminating that out this afternoon, hopefully. And then just lastly, working with county administrator and HR and sheriff's office and anybody else within the county on maintaining communication and input on policies and procedures or any changes that need to be implemented. But I think closing the courthouse is definite to the public anyway, is definitely a right step and sets a good precedence for the community as well as the surrounding counties, that we need to encourage people not to be out and about and going about their normal daily lives when this is anything but normal. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Casey, on the resolutions we have in front of us, we are following suit with other counties in the district and the state as well by adopting these. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're not on our own. We're not creating something here new. So one thing we did learn yesterday on a conference call is that FEMA is actuated at their full level 1 response, which is the largest full nationwide response. So we want to be able to obtain, if at all possible, if there would be any funding through the feds and to the states to us for any type of expenditures that we may have that they would deem reimbursable on this event. So how's that for vague enough? So
It's better have good documentation for whatever you hope to
right, you know,
cover.
right now I believe the only thing we could apply for would be emergency, what do they call it, emergency protective measures, and I don't think anything in that response has gone through to protect facilities, anything like that. So again, it's early, but we want to make sure that we're in position if something does happen. We can get money. If that would be might be reimbursement for wages, for vacation time, sick leave time, that type of thing. We had to have people out, so we want to make sure we've got everything taken care of. So Resolution 5914 is the declaration of the local emergency. That is the short-term one that is generally authorized for up to 72 hours, and we can authorize that right now. And 591520 is the resolution requesting the state of emergency declaration, and that would be sent, both of these would be sent off to the state, so they would be on file there that we have taken that action. So this does open the door for us again for possible future reimbursements of expenditures that would be again deemed reimbursable. So I think it makes sense that we move forward with this.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of Resolution 591420, declaration of local emergency.
I will second that motion.
Okay, any discussion?
I appreciate the attendance of our local officials here as well, too. City Administrator Jeff Jones, City Mayor Myron Coots. Do you guys have any opinions that you'd like to add as well to the discussion, or no? Sheriff Freeman, anything that we're missing, anything you could add?
We'll change the way we operate a little bit, but as long as the public knows we're still gonna answer the phone, we're still gonna respond to calls, we're still gonna arrest the bad people if we need to. But things will change as we go. There'll be some minor adjustments, but we're still gonna be there and respond, so.
Very good.
I guess for the commissioners' information also, the city council will be meeting Monday night in special session, and this will be on their agenda.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, do you want to move on to Resolution 591520 at this point? I would move that we approve that resolution.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else come before us
Mr.
today?
Chairman, just a few other items of information I put in front of you. Approximately every day, a lot of us are getting the email blast from the governor's office, so each of you should get that. I send those out as well, the COVID-19 response, and that's pretty much by the numbers of where we're at. And that's, mine only has the 2 pages, because yours have 4 of them.
No. Just 2.
That got messed. I apologize for that. Didn't print right. I'll grab that for you. The other one that you have in color, this came out a couple of days ago from the President's office. It's from coronavirus.gov, and it's the newest mantra we're working with. It's the 15 days to slow the spread, and a lot of the information why we did this came from this, is that we want the 15 days, listen and follow to the directions of your state and local authorities. Again, if you feel sick, stay home. Do not go to work. Contact your medical provider. If your children are sick, keep them at home as well. Do not send them to school. Contact your medical provider. If someone in your household has tested positive for the coronavirus, keep the entire household at home. Do not go to work. Do not go to school. Contact your medical provider as well. If you are an older person, stay home and away from other people. We learned yesterday in our conference call that older senior citizens, others at high risk, have a 3 times more chance of dying from this than the flu. So it's a very dangerous thing, as they found out in the state of Washington when it went into the nursing homes first. They had a very high rate of death in that. So older people are very susceptible to this. And also it talks about people with serious underlying health conditions as well. Impairs like respiratory problems or heart problems or anything that weakens your immune system. Stay home and stay away from other people. So really are focusing on staying away, not going out, and the governor's office has done quite a job of making sure that by closing businesses and closing schools to keep people at a distance. One other thing that's going on is that the school district, as part of their planning for this while school is out, there is a program where they're working on daycare for emergency services personnel, sheriff's department, police officers, EMS, hospital workers, clinic workers, healthcare providers as well. And I did get a phone call this morning from a representative from the school saying that public workers such as ourselves, cities, counties, state people are also now included in this and can utilize the daycare facilities that the schools will be setting up in their areas. So I worked with Kathy, and we're going to get a list of those together of the county staff workers. We've already got the law enforcement and EMS workers to the school, but this was a new addition that we didn't know about 2 days ago, so things are changing on that as well. So I would presume in the city of Pipestone's case, that would include city workers as well. So
Is there any cost for that?
no. No cost at all.
Steve, I could add a little bit to that as well, too, in regards of daycare. Working with our SMOC, Southwest Minnesota Opportunity Council and the Head Start program. There's a question about the Head Start children as well, too. And been in contact with both the director of the Head Start, Lori Gunnick, and then also the director of SMOC, Neil Steffel. They also are getting mixed messages there, too, because we've got a combination of federal and state agencies there and classification. They're saying that Head Start technically is classified as a daycare, not as a school, because of the 3- and 4-year-olds. But the same situation, ultimately, of course, concerned about the welfare of children, teachers, staff, everything else as well. So they're somewhat in a state of flux right now. The same thing, they need to be able to provide daycare for essential services, parents, children's, and then also taking care of them as well, too. The same thing with meals, transportation. They have for quite a while already been doing their screening at the door with checking temperatures and so forth. Actually, even at the bus, when they stop by the houses to pick the children up, they'll check them at that point as well, too. So it's there's nothing firm at this point, but they are aware of it, and they're working through this as well. Another item of interest, I just received an email at noon from Kathleen, from our transport director, then from CPAP. And she has stated that they're no longer taking cash payments on site on the bus, that they don't want to have that exposure of handling money. So people are allowed on the bus, but nobody's exchanging money at that point.
Are they taking tokens then, or?
No, well, I don't, it said cash, so I don't know if they have to directly handle the tokens. I'm not sure what they're doing on
I would
that.
think you'd have to handle them as much as cash.
Yep, yep. To eliminate onboard fare collections, so probably does include tokens.
And lastly, Mr. Chair and everybody, county board meetings will proceed as normal in open session down here, as long as we can do that, as long as we have county board members able to attend, not home ill or anything like that, too, as long as we have a quorum. Unless something drastically changes, then we're ordered to shut down, but we'll keep those open. And there are options we can do to keep them open and also not have everybody at the building, too, as long as we have a member here. The state statute and AMC has been very good about getting that information out, so if we have to do that, we will be able to accommodate that. Work with our IT department, we'll make sure that's working if we need to go down that road. But as of now, our meetings will be here and open.
And I think
We have
next
a lot of
Tuesday, we're
business.
gonna have the hospital meeting here also in the afternoon.
That'll work.
I don't know if that has to be posted, or,
No.
The change of venue for the hospital board meeting, that might have to be posted, because it's gonna be here instead of at the hospital.
I'll check with Brad on that and get
I
it.
don't think so because
It's,
of the wording today in the email.
The phone-in option, yeah. So I think we could be able to meet remotely. for
since
that
we'll
one.
be here anyway,
Well, yeah.
as well just.
I'll post it anyway. I'll put it up, just so it's up on the board. And that'll be for indefinitely as well, I presume,
I would presume.
as long as the pandemic is going on.
Anything else to
That's all I have,
come
Mr.
before us?
Chair.
Not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would so move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Everybody stay safe.